Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the February 26, 2020 meeting of the East Long Meadow Conservation Commission. Nobody is in the audience this evening, so we can proceed right to item number 1, approval of the minutes for January 22nd, 2020. I didn't really have any changes to that. Did anybody else?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the January 22nd, 2020 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
February 12th, 2020 minutes. I did have a couple of changes to that. Under item 6, there are review plans for comments for the planning board from the Conservation Commission. We also did discuss the waiver of site plan for Shaker Road and came up with no comment on that, and there wasn't a notation in the minutes pertaining to that.
What was this, say that again? The Shaker Road?
Yes, when we did with the Veterans Memorial, we also commented on a site plan waiver for somebody that was moving into that building on Shaker Road.
Next to Acres Power Equipment.
Oh, right, there was no, yeah, no comment,
Right,
yeah.
right. There was no comment. I believe we voted on that one also. But there was no notation in the minutes of that. The other one, if we go to number 9, the last item on the agenda, where it said Chair Craig Jernstrom requested meeting agendas be broadcasted on the LCAT screen. What I was asking for there was the public hearings and public meetings be posted on LCAT as we were doing in the past.
We post the agenda. It's the agenda that's posted. It's posted. It's not broken out like you saw in the past. It's all on the agenda.
Our agenda is posted on LCAT.
Well, that's how it's posted, Craig. So what you're looking for, individual notice that pertain to each individual case, right?
Correct.
Okay.
We
So
were doing that a
compile-
while ago. Yeah.
So we compile everything onto the agenda. So you're not gonna see a splash of individual notices. So everything that's on the agenda is that which is to be posted under the public, under open meeting law, okay?
Oh,
I don't think you understand.
I was gonna say, no, can you run that by me again?
Okay, so you used to see individual notices that pertain to individual projects, right?
For a public hearing or a public meeting,
Right.
yes.
You didn't see the whole agenda, right? You just saw an individual notice posted, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so we're gonna post, let me fill something from here, what's on your agenda tonight?
Certificate, no, that's not a
Okay.
public, none of those, we don't have any
No
public meetings or hearings tonight.
So, but we run the agenda, we put everything that's going on, instead of having, because what you find is that people miss the information. So we compile everything under the agenda that's going on, and it's posted, so that people don't overlook something that they might be looking for. So everything's contained, so for February 26th, you're doing this. This serves as both the posting for the public meeting as well as the posting for the, or the public hearing, as well as the posting for the public meeting. One piece of paper, everything's on one sheet, you're not gonna have a splash. It's not like we're having a commercial today for this and then we're gonna have a commercial for that. All the commercials run on one piece of paper.
So
Okay?
you're saying this entire agenda is going to be on a slide on LCAT?
No.
That's what I'm asking for, that we were doing before, when we switched to the reminder. If we had a notice of intent or an RDA filed, we posted the individual item on LCAT. Can we do that or no?
We don't do that anymore. It's extra work. We're trying to control our workflow. We're trying to provide information for people so that they see everything that's happening on one evening's meeting agenda. From the hearing, to the meeting, to the conversation.
Okay, so what
So
you're-
it covers It covers it.
So
Okay.
then, you're telling me then, I guess I'm gonna say that this agenda is
But-
on slides on LCAT?
Well, we haven't been, no, I'm not. I'm telling you, everything is posted. I'm hearing what you want is that LCAT also publicize what's going on, right? Right? So Bethany can talk with Don about creating a slide, whatever format. Because this is up there. This information is posted, duly posted,
I understand that.
okay. And I think one of you was creating the slide, if I'm not wrong. No?
Yes, I did quite a few of them with
Okay.
somebody from the LCAT office, and then Bethany was doing them after that.
I think we did a couple.
Right, and then the practice just stopped.
So, can you tell us perhaps what,
Okay, so, you wouldn't be putting it on our channel because only the cable subscribers would be able to see
Correct.
those slides. That's why you put it in the reminder, which everybody has free access to that newspaper in the entire town, whereas they don't on cable.
Good answer.
Okay. All right, I guess we're kind of going way off the topic of reviewing of the minutes here. But essentially, where it's meeting agendas, wanted that changed to public hearings and public meetings.
well, so we have this
We
notice
can come
of
back to
public
this under
hearing.
policies and procedures.
Let's just close it out right now, we can, but see at the top, notice of public hearing? So then we have it, new business, okay, project, in this case, you don't, it's a public meeting, it's a public hearing. We're just trying to get the word out, this is what's going on, people.
And that's exactly what we were trying to do, and we started to do this after we posted, and we switched from using the reminder to the Springfield newspaper because of the concerns of the commission that not as many people were seeing it. And we understand it's posted on the website and it's posted in the town hall. And I did it for a month or so, and then Bethany was doing it, just taking a single slide and putting it up there for the public hearings. But if you're telling us now you can't do it because of your workload, we will just move on.
Thank you.
The next item that I had in regards to item 9, there was some discussion, and I asked why we are getting site plan waivers for comments to the planning board and other non-jurisdictional filings. And there was some discussion that ensued about that. So those are the 1, 2, 3 changes that I had for the minutes. So I guess you want to redraft them, and we'll do these again at the next meeting?
Sure.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to table approval of the minutes for the February 12th, 2020 meeting to our next meeting.
So moved.
Well, you don't think we could just, you could read the changes you want to put in, and then we could approve it with the amended changes? I mean, you want the verbiage in there. I have no problem looking at it real quick. I don't, do you guys have any problem looking at it real quick?
Wasn't that a meeting? No,
Or do you
no,
guys
I
wanna
don't.
table it and have Bethany print it, and then we can all read them?
Well, I guess technically, I believe we voted on Shaker Road. I don't know who voted what and seconded and that sort of thing. I believe that technically kind of needs to be in there.
Well, you can just stipulate in the motion that we forward no comment to the planning board. I honestly can't remember if we voted on that. Did we vote on that?
Yes, we voted on
So
both of them.
we voted on no comment?
We voted on both of them,
Motion
yeah.
to make no comment, rolled into one, or did they were separate?
The one for the Veterans Memorial is separate.
Okay.
So I'm assuming the other one was separate also. I didn't go back and watch the video.
Well, if it's already with the chair, we hadn't voted on that other motion.
Well, it's been.
We could amend it. Could we amend that motion to Well, it was a motion to table it to the next meeting.
Mm-hmm. Or continue it to the next meeting, yeah.
So I guess we have to vote on that and then, yeah, so.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next item of business is the request for the certificate of compliance for 74 Smith Ave, AKA 66 Smith Avenue. There was a letter from Steve Manning, and then there was also one from Dan Nitsky, the environmental consultant on that. I did do a quick drive-by there on Saturday. The culvert looks fine as it is shown in the pictures. I did send an email to Bethany also and asked it if there was any permanent limit of work markers or anything else there in the order of conditions, and there really wasn't. I guess the notice of intent was essentially for the construction of the culvert under the driveway. So, based on that, I don't have any issues with this certificate of compliance. And I'll entertain a motion for approval of the request for a certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. Let's get this signed and then we'll.
Yep.
Let's copy one.
Working on being a little bit more organized here at the meeting, so we're gonna have a minute or so delay from now on when we have filings that we need to sign
Okay.
before we start into the next topic.
There's number 2. Oh,
Yeah, I didn't see you there today, Tom.
Yeah, I think that was the other department. You will soon though.
Good, you can buy me lunch.
Yeah, I'll probably lunch.
Okay, the next item is, under project monitoring is Robin Street and Smith Avenue. I spoke with, in the past week or so, I spoke with both the engineer, Mike Macau, and Ralph Capua, who is buying that piece of property. Ralph wants to increase the depth of the house by 10 feet from what is shown, approximately 10 feet, what is shown on Mike's plans, and also alter the width somewhere between 4 and 6 feet. My instruction, to Ralph, if he wanted to do that, was he needs to file an amended notice of intent. I pretty much had the same conversation with Mike. I didn't tell him how the commission would rule on it or anything like that, but I just said, you really need to do it. We can't have that significant of a change in the square footage, because it is somewhere around 15% larger. He wanted to make the dwelling. So I would assume he will be coming in with an amended notice of intent. But also while I was on the phone with Ralph, it's another one, an old one from the sheet, that one, I believe the address was Old Farms Road too, but across the road from where we have the violation.
On the corner.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that
one
corner
with
lot, yeah.
the intermittent stream.
I think that's 108.
Yeah, but I did mention to him that his notice of intent in order of conditions was expiring. So he should be coming in shortly with an extension for that. Anybody else have anything under project monitoring?
Not at the moment.
I just did a few other drive-bys on Saturday, drove down to Bella Vista. That looks real good. There was a lot of debris or clay in the street out at Redstone that I was working with Tom and Bruce on, and just letting them know that. Smith Ave, anything else? And yeah, that was about all I looked at.
Is it Jeffrey's?
Oh, yes, that's it. Yeah, and I actually spoke to Val, what is it?
Schvetz.
Schvet, okay. I spoke with him, emailed him a couple times, and I spoke with him this week. And we can go out there on Saturday. He hasn't started anything yet. But essentially what he told me was the way there's some trees out there that are gonna fall, they are going to fall onto where the silt fence would be. And he said they're right near the road. And I said, well, that shouldn't be an issue. And his concern is he can't really get to where the silt fence is without doing the clearing. And I discussed him, that you need to follow what's in your order of conditions, where it says the silt fence and erosion controls need to go up before you clear the land. But we're okay, but we can go there on Saturday sometime if we wanna pick a time. He told me, I think it was today actually, I spoke to him again, to let him know when, and we can take a look at it.
Yeah, there's the, because it comes in and there's,
Jeffrey's off St. Joseph.
yeah,
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's trees right here,
that's one in before, but
yeah.
Right, so you go down St. Joseph, take a right, and he's the one to the right.
he's the one to the right.
Yeah,
And basically, he started this in 2018,
yeah, we went out.
but nothing has been done. So the
Yeah, we were out there.
the vegetation has grown considerably in the last couple of years over there.
It's right in here.
Where he originally had that little pathway that went in, where he went in with a bobcat or something. Of course, that's all totally overgrown now.
Yeah. And he also said there was a couple trees that were down in the line of where the silk fence needed to be installed. And I said, yes, of course, you can take care of things like that. But so if we wanna go out there Saturday at 9:30, 10, I know some people are away at the conference this weekend,
Yeah, Aaron will be there.
but I don't think it'll take a long time. We're
No.
probably in and out of there in 15 minutes.
Yeah,
So,
Everybody else is required to put the silt fence in prior to that. You know what I mean? That's a weak argument. But,
that
The-
needs to clear a path?
no, that he wants to clear the trees first before he puts the barriers up.
There's just 2 or 3, he said, not all of them.
Yeah, but it begs the question, where are they gonna go? They're gonna go beyond the barriers.
That's what he's
Otherwise,
saying.
why would,
He's saying that the way that they're leaning, that's the only way they can fall. And that's what he says, I don't wanna put the silt fence in and then have them fall on it.
you understand where I'm going with this? Like,
Oh,
so
yeah.
he wants to,
he wants, basically, he wants to start the project. He wants to start clearing everything and start,
no, I understand that, but, so his idea is he's gonna crash them into the wetlands.
no, they're going the other way. The
Then,
trees
then
are,
how in the world would the silt
No,
fence?
he said they would fall on
On the silt fence?
the 50-foot limit of work line.
but they're coming this way as opposed to going into the wetlands then.
So the question is, if they're gonna go away from the silt fence, then why wouldn't you just put the
Yeah,
silt
I'm-
fence in
I'm
first?
thinking
So-
from what he
so-
told-
So if they're gonna crash on the silt fence, then where are they gonna go? Into the,
My understanding is they were falling towards the silt fence from the way they were leaning.
right.
Okay, right.
So I guess we'll see it on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anything else under the project monitoring? No. Okay, moving on, other business was, the RDA, there was some comments that came out, from Mark Stinson. We had, a couple of errors in the writing up of the RDA, and Jeff has redone the WP2 form.
Yep.
And there was also something on here that he got the Form 2 prior to getting the Form 1.
it appears that basically, the applicants are, it's their responsibility at the time of the filing to get the Form 1 to mail it to DEP.
Okay.
And if it comes into the office and the applicant doesn't, then the office should forward it immediately to DEP. And then the Form 2, we provide the applicant a copy, and a copy goes to DEP as well, so that they have a determination. Because according to the comments Mark was making in here, the actual appeal period starts when he receives the determination, the WP2.
Right.
And in this case, he got the 2 and never received the 1. So,
So is the onus on Bethany to ask that?
I would, basically, it's the responsibility of the applicant to, at the time they file with the town, they're supposed to mail a copy to DEP. It might be a wise decision to ask the applicant, have they provided a copy to DEP at the time they file?
I was gonna ask, how is it typically done? Is the applicant doing it, or are you guys taking care of
Usually it
it?
says right on the instructions that
It
you have
does.
to mail it, and
Yes.
so we haven't had an issue so far.
So for the most part, the applicant is following the instructions and sending it
Yeah.
Yeah,
to DEP? Okay.
But you know, if they chose to just not send it, or they were delayed, we could literally go through the time period and approve it before Stinson's time clock even started. Technically, yeah, please.
So. Mark-
Correct.
So typically Mark provides comments to the Conservation Commission. You don't have to wait until you receive those comments, but that might be a good trigger for you to, once you have those comments, to know that the clock, and look at the date that he has sent them and know that that's day 1, if you will, or day 1 from that point, because there are 24 hours in a day, and it's not June 21st. Day 1 is actually June 22nd, and so on, to count 21 days.
That whole thing was
Yes, I know.
cross-eyed.
Yes, yes,
I don't even know what day it is after reading it.
after you.
Yeah,
but the way the instructions for completing the Form 1, they do state, it's the applicant's responsibility to mail a copy to DEP at the same time as they turn it into the town for the filing. And apparently, this one, he did not do, and we didn't ask the question, so DEP never got the Form 1 from him. So, but like he says in his comments here, let's see,
so does that make our ruling non-binding?
technically, yes.
So, all right, okay.
According to Mark, technically, yes. Because he should have the Form 1 stating that
At the
it
same
has
time,
been
right.
filed, and then we issue the Form 2, which he gets immediately after our ruling. And in this case, he's saying he didn't have Form 1 or 2
Until after,
until
waiting.
months after.
Yes.
So, and then he noted some errors in the filling out of the Form 2. So basically, what we have here tonight is we have a corrected Form 2 that we can approve and sign and get this off to DEP and get a copy to Mr. Travato.
Okay.
So if I may interject at this point, we've talked about applicant submittals and what they need to deliver, and I've asked in the past for them to complete all of this paperwork, so, and that's why. So it makes them read the application. It allows you to read the application and know that it's been completed the way that it should be. That would be the WPA Form 1, request for a determination of applicability, or the, notice of intent, the notice of intent, right? So we had this process in place so that you all could essentially track what was coming in. That's why I would like to be able to have these instructions available for people. So that, because if you're not used to these forms and you're trying to read the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection direction, your head is spinning. You just don't know. So we try to simplify and give the people some guidance moving forward, you know, in the process. And this is sort of self-evident, exactly what you see happening.
Okay.
If we don't provide, if we don't hold their hand a little bit.
No, all I'm saying is that first time I ever went to the website and got the form, followed the instructions, I found it very clear, exactly what you had to do. And I had no problem with it. And I think the DEP forms, for every form, they have an instruction how to fill it out. And it's, you know, and it states, it's right there, it's the applicant's responsibility. And I feel that it's, but when it comes to the two, that's clearly the permit, that's our responsibility, not the applicant. And,
Oh, but let me just, so they're not filling out, all they're doing is completing their name, the address, the deed book and page number, that information.
I don't want them filling out anything, because technically, this is a permit that is the responsibility of the commission to finalize.
I mean, your point's well taken, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, we're going off track on taking care of this determination of applicability. So what were the changes that you made, Jeff?
basically, the only changes that were made were, we had to check off box 5, and let's see, in the description, the only thing that was added, it changed a little bit of it. The only thing that was basically changed was the last 2 sentences that, you know, that this does fall in the Wetlands Protection Act, is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, and the work to be done is within the wetlands and beyond the permanent limit of work markers. So that was added. Box 5 was checked, saying that the work is subject,
I didn't get a Form 2.
and
That's the revised one.
then, under the negative determination, box 3 was checked originally, but the wording on the original one, I believe, was, let's see, stated,
I have it, Jeff.
I've got it right here. Okay, I said, see attached order of conditions, and Mark said this is wrong, it should say special conditions. The term is special conditions. So that was changed to
Yeah.
see attached special conditions. And the other part of this, which wasn't really applicable, but was attached, which comes after the section D of appeals on page 5. There's 2 subsequent following pages, request for a departmental action fee transmittal form. And we had checked this, and it said send for single-family house, send a check for $120, which goes to Boston, to the DEP, which Mark said this was a mistake. So basically, those pages were eliminated entirely from the new
Yep.
form. And I don't know if they actually sent a check. If they did, Mark wanted his contact information, because he was gonna, in a copy of the check, because he was gonna get Boston to send the money back to Mr. Travato.
He did send the check, but I've given Mark's information to John Travato, so he should be reimbursed.
Okay, good. So, and those are the only changes. So
Okay.
we just have to redo the
Yep.
WPA Form 2.
So this is the corrected one,
This is the corrected one.
Yes.
that's the 2 pages.
Right.
Mhm.
So we need to sign these?
Yes.
This is, okay.
Any other comments from the board on this? I'll entertain a motion to approve the
Corrected.
corrected WPA Form 2 for 461 Chestnut Street.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All righty, done diddly done with that one.
Need your signature?
That's the second one.
Right. Isn't that the exact same thing we just did?
No, it's a different one.
There's 2 copies.
Oh, there's 2 copies, all right.
Yes. One for our files, and then a copy will be sent to the applicant, and a copy will be sent to
DEP.
DEP.
So both those forms have to be signed by us?
Yes. Yeah.
All righty. Next item on the agenda, number 5, review plans for comments for planning board from the Conservation Commission. And the applicable town bylaws, zoning bylaws, have been added here for our review. As there was, some question that I brought up last week regarding why we were getting a site plan waiver and being asked to comment on that. I've read through these, it seems pretty self-explanatory. That in one instance, the planning board could ask for our comments pertaining to a site plan review. And in the other instance, it would be pertaining to the submission of plans for a subdivision. And according to this, those are essentially the only 2 times that, from what I can tell out of this, that we should be getting it, other than there's a lot of other definitive plans and that sort of thing that are more follow-up, if we were talking about a subdivision.
So this is policies and procedures?
Now, we're on number 5, review
Yeah.
plans for comments for the planning board from the Conservation Commission.
So if I may,
Right.
Item number 5 on the agenda.
No, right, but this, we've gone over this before,
yeah,
right?
so because we emailed back and forth for clarification, but again, we're in a public hearing, a public meeting, so the public should know. But Conservation is charged with reviewing site plans, and under site plan is the site plan waiver. The site plan waiver occurs in certain instances, less than 2,000 square feet. But the zoning board, excuse me, the building commissioner is a code enforcement officer. So the first point of contact at town hall is the request for zoning determination. And the building commissioner will then forward the plans to the appropriate board, ZBA, planning board, and he also makes a note if the conservation commission is involved. Now, planning board reviews site plan, but they have a condition, or a stipulation rather, under their site plan review where they can waive the site plan review. But we still send them to you because it's site plan, it falls under the heading of site plan review. Subdivision, you have a preliminary subdivision and you have a definitive subdivision.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're reviewing in both cases, because sometimes the subdivision plan changes after the preliminary. So all I did was pull out the sections of the zoning bylaw as well as the subdivision regulations for East Long Meadow, so that you could see where your authority was. And that hopefully there would be no more questions as to why are you looking at these plans. It falls under, you are entitled, you have the authority, you have the opportunity to also make comment to the planning board in helping to shape a site plan and also in helping to shape the subdivision plan. So I just clearly wanted you to see where it comes from. So I put it on, I won't put it on again, but I kinda got tired of the questions of why are we doing this? It's here, it's in black and white, and I gave you the sections so that you could have a reference point. Okay?
Okay?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
I just, well, I'm not quite done with this yet, sorry. Because and it's happened in the past where I brought this up, and similar to the past, it happened at the last meeting. We made comments on these two things, and neither one of them was brought up at the planning board meeting. Comments from the police department and the DPW were brought up on the site plan for the Veterans Memorial, but there was nothing brought up about ours. Nor was it brought up on Shaker Road. So that concerns me, that isn't being done. And it has happened before in the past, and we've discussed it. So I guess that is something that needs to be done, and I guess for my clarification, the way I read this, it's site plan reviews to other boards as deemed necessary. So I guess my question is, for Shaker Road, that we looked at our last meeting, did the planning board ask us for comments on that?
They expect your comments or no comments. So, in my
They
past
expect us,
experience-
wait a minute, I
Okay,
just
go
wanna
ahead.
be clear on that. They are expecting a comment
Oh.
from us on every site plan waiver, every site plan review, and every subdivision.
Probably to simplify it, if you'd like to send them a memo, you can, but if you have comments, I provide them. Most of the other boards and commission, most of the other departments will send a memo or a letter stating, we have no comment, or they have comments. If you have comments, I certainly bring them to the attention of the planning board, because I'm at every planning board meeting.
So,
So they rely on me.
and I guess, where I'm going with this, the way I look at this, I mean, it doesn't say it's on cruise control, that virtually everything is coming to us for comments. It happens when the planning board requests our comments.
No, you get everything. So plans come in, and plans are routed to all the different
All
departments,
right,
and the
okay,
conservation.
I don't need, how are we getting everything? It doesn't say that has to happen here in the bylaw. It clearly does not. I mean, and I'm sorry, frankly, a lot of it is a waste of time. I mean, if we're getting a site plan review to comment on if the hair salon is moving out and the nail salon is coming in, we don't need to do that. Does not need to be on our agenda, in my opinion. I mean, do you guys wanna talk about stuff like that at a meeting? Because, I mean, I can't see us ever commenting on it.
So if I may, we email you everything, right? You get, you receive your packets via email. You look at everything. If you have a comment on something, you're going to say, hey, we should maybe talk about this. Now, in the past, I've looked at what the past practice has been, based on the archival information, Craig, and what used to happen was my predecessor would send the plans and expect the Conservation Commission to write their comments on the plan and then send them back to the planning board. I don't see that happening. So I think things that.
I don't recall that ever happening.
You know, Craig, I really don't whip things out of the air. This is information that I come across, and I'd be delighted to provide those letters for you if you really need the hard documentation.
Do you-
But I,
do you recall doing
you know,
that?
I think,
So, anyway, so it is rather trivial. I mean, we're here, we can address these small matters. It kind of to Connie's argument, what was the one that got missed? The solar farm, back peas? The one that had
Yes,
that
it
had
was
the
the
farm,
solar-
the farm pond,
yes.
that got missed. And who knows, there may be other ones that are missed, so they may seem trivial, but
I don't think something
I don't have
like,
an issue with it.
I don't
for the-
think
for the
that
two
is
segments
trivial,
it
but
takes.
Well,
I just,
Trivial, like what? Go ahead, Jeff.
well, you know, for instance, at the last meeting, okay, the site plan review for that new building on Shaker Road was the site plan waiver was, the building is there, it's in existence, okay? It was just a tenant is moving in. That has nothing to do with the Conservation Commission, absolutely nothing.
Agreed.
What bothers me more about that is when that building, the plans and everything for that building, that never came before the Conservation Commission, and there's a wetland right across the street. We never even heard about it.
So
It's like-
that reinforces Connie's argument that
Well,
You should
well,
everything-
show to us, so we
just-
can say no comment.
we can
Is
say
my
no
thought.
comment, or we can say, hey, you know, there's a well across the street, but I don't know
but
if
what
it
I'm-
falls in jurisdiction.
But what I'm saying is, basically, and I think what Craig is saying, on a site plan waiver, if all it's involving is nail salon Esposito is moving out, and, hair salon Fitzgerald is moving in, why are we wasting our time making a comment on that when it has absolutely no jurisdiction for the Conservation Commission? It has no bearing on us at all. The building is there, it's already been approved, whatever, it's been in existence. It's not in the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So why are we even wasting our time making a comment about somebody moving in or out of a building?
and in an instance like that, in my opinion, we have no authority to make a comment on
We
it
don't.
from the Conservation Commission. If you
Well,
wanted to
no.
comment on it as a citizen, you
We're
can.
not making a comment.
I feel like if I may, it's kind of a fine line to walk, because either we don't get the information, and we take a look and just say no comment, we don't have to put a ton of time into it. I may be misunderstanding this, or, then we get upset if we don't hear about some other things.
Yeah. Well,
So
one
then
of the
it would
things
leave it up to them to actually decide what they think would be important for
Yeah.
us to look at versus us deciding what we think is
Right.
important to put our time in.
But in something like a subdivision, and a good amount of the site plan reviews, the way the process works, we've already seen them before they even go to the planning board.
Because of where they're gonna.
Right, because of the
when
way
they're
the procedure
Okay.
needs to get followed. It needs to come to us if there's wetlands and that sort of thing involved in it. And then we make any changes that are required, if we want any, and then they go to the planning board. And anything with a wetland, a subdivision or something like that, there might be a roundtable meeting ahead of time or something like that, but once they start their filings, they come to us first. And the same would apply with these site plans, because the vast majority of the ones we get are done by professional engineers.
Right.
And they know when they need to come to us. And for the most part, they do. They all come to us prior to going to the planning board.
Okay. So are
Craig,
we asking them to vet out
Is
what
it
we?
your wish to have Connie vet out what needs to come before us and not come before us? Is
So-
that
I
your
just,
wish?
the way I am understanding that it works right now is that pretty much any site plan, a waiver of site plan, or subdivision, or any of these other preliminary plans that are on here that come before the planning board, Connie is sending them to us. And I don't read that in here in the bylaw in the town. It's as deemed necessary by the planning board. So as far as I'm concerned, if the planning board is not asking for our comments on something, This item doesn't even-
She's the director of the planning board, you could argue that it's her discretion, under her discretion.
Thank you, Tom, because that is my discretion, and to cover you, I send them to you, because
Yeah.
you are the Conservation Commission. I just want to mention, under the rules and regulations, okay, the applicant shall submit a copy under preliminary plan. The applicant shall submit a copy of request for determination of applicability as submitted to the Conservation Commission. So that means when the planning board is reviewing a preliminary, you should have received a request for determination of applicability. All we're trying to do is share our information and represent the best interests of the town, and that's your job. So we are providing information to you, so you can say, yes, we have to comment, no, we don't have to comment. And if you do have comments, then you put them in writing. You can simply say, we have no comment. But again, in past practice, I've received a memo from the Conservation Commission that said we have no comment on this case, which is, again, I know we're beating a dead horse right now. And under the regulations and under, okay, so I didn't write them. I didn't write them at all. But I read them and I apply them. So if you want to change them, then submit a request to the planning board. But this
I'm
is
not-
state statute. This isn't just the regulations
I
of East Long
understand.
Meadow.
Well, then,
So let us do our job, Craig.
then I
And
guess
if you-
all I'll say is, and fine, we'll just keep doing it this way.
Okay.
But I guess just for the record, in my opinion, it is a complete waste of everybody's time to be emailing around site plan waivers, because we will probably never comment on a single one of them. And the other one that, yes, I understand that this is the regulation, and we can agree to disagree.
Yes.
That you're saying these will be sent out at your discretion, which it definitely does not say here. It says, as deemed necessary by the planning board, not by the director of planning and community development. It says,
And-
as
and
deemed
I'm just
necessary
gonna-
by the planning board.
Let's just hit the
So-
pause button for just a second. And as far as site plan waiver goes, it is, the planning board may decide they don't want to waive something. There was a when they were doing the reconstruction at the Elm Crest Country Club, remember the fire, the tent, right? So, and I'm using it as an example, we're not discussing the case. I want to firmly state that for the record. But the planning board, the applicant requested a site plan waiver. He didn't want to go through the full site plan review. And the planning board said, no, we need to know what you're going to construct. Therefore, or put up temporarily, and how is your parking going to be? How are you arranging the circulation on site? What is your lighting going to be? So they needed to have a site plan. So we send it to you because the planning board may not, granted, it's a nail salon, it's going to occupy a space that's existing, they're probably going to just rubber stamp that waiver and just ask them what the hours of operation are, and do you have enough parking? But for other projects, the planning board may not just push it through. So, we send them to you, it's in the interest of being efficient and communicating. You all know what's going on, and what's the problem, what's wrong with that? You know what's going on in town. Is that, I guess I don't see the problem with knowing what's going on, being informed.
So could I ask, do we get this, so then we're not involved in the site plan waiver then?
Unless you find,
Once the plan is wavered, the boards aren't necessarily involved.
that is correct.
Okay.
If I'm understanding you, so.
Right, I'm trying to kind of distinguish the differences, so the site plan is, you decide that there's nothing, you don't have to worry about anything that's going on, so you wave it through, and then if something comes up in the future that it's concerning, it would come to us
Yes.
in that circumstance.
Yes, and it could be a couple of years later when another
Right,
project.
right. Okay.
So, anyway, I'm sorry if you think that this is an imposition on your time. It's not meant to be. It's meant to communicate information and to share your knowledge. So, if you want to adopt a policy if you have comments, the planning board is going to know. You have issues of concern, and I will bring the matter to
Okay.
I'll provide, but otherwise.
Okay, then I'm gonna go to my last one, and we
Okay.
can please close this one out.
All right, let's go. What's up?
What are we doing in the future to make sure they get our no comment? Because when we say no comment here at the meeting, we assume they're being informed that. And were they? Are they? And if so, how does that happen?
It happens when they say, do you have any comments? And I say, yes, and here they are. And here's the DPW comment, and we go through the whatever comments are for me. Is that all you have? Yes, sir, that's all I have. Thank you very much. Which means no one else had a comment. But
Okay.
we can certainly write a memo that says the Conservation Commission had no
No,
comment to
I'm
make it
just
official.
asking.
What do you
Okay.
want? Tell me what you want to do. give me some direction, what do you wanna do, how do you wanna handle it? Do you wanna write a memo, do you want us at the end of the meeting?
Nope,
Because I've
fine.
done that too,
It's fine.
You could say no comment.
yeah, I can,
It's assumed though.
And you could either be silent or say no comment.
yeah, and I,
It's assumed.
you tell me what you want and I'll do it for you. How do you want me to do it? You know, it, like you said, it's assumed, but if you want, following the meeting, we can draft a short, you know, just like we do, how we copy and paste the case information, we can certainly do that. It's not reinventing the wheel, and we can simply say no comment, and put it, I have done memos for them. And they look at them, and they see, oh, no comment, so they're not gonna talk about it. But what do you wanna do? You gotta give me, Craig, tell me, what would you like me to do?
You just continue doing it the way you are.
Alrighty, thank you very much.
That was easy.
Next item, in the director's report, I guess before we get started with this, I would like it noted for the record, that I asked for item 1, 2, and 3, to be removed from the agenda because I felt there was no need to discuss them. Item 4 is another item, that was added to the agenda very late, and there was no discussion with the commission about it. We received the email regarding preparation and format for the meeting minutes. This is something we've talked about before. I really don't have any issues and don't see any need to discuss it at all.
Well, it is my report, I am the director, and I am entitled to speak. And we did share information, I did send you information via email, and the public has a right to know what I shared with you. So briefly, we talked about the preparation and the format of meeting minutes, and I sent you information from the Attorney General's Open Meeting Law Guidebook that clarifies what meeting minutes should contain and how long Bethany has to prepare them, because you were very much concerned about the timely manner. So I'm just going to say, open session meeting records under the open meeting law requires public bodies to create and approve minutes in a timely manner. A timely manner is considered to be within the next 3 public body meetings or 30 days from the date of the meeting, whichever is later.
Okay.
Unless the public body.
We've been through all of this.
No, but Craig, you bring it up all the time, and we beat the horse again. So, for clarity, we have the information. I've provided information in the form of documentation prepared by the Attorney General. So I don't think we have to discuss or
I don't believe we have to
Check.
discuss it anymore either, because in my email on it, I put send the minutes out as you see fit.
And then discussion of publication of notice in a newspaper of general circulation. The last meeting, I mentioned that I thought that the reminder was going to be folding. To clarify, the reminder is not folding. However, they own the Enfield Press, and the Enfield News, and they also publish the Long Meadow News. And those 2 papers are being folded, but the reminder remains a viable company. Now, we will continue to review the cost and the expense and the benefit of using the reminder. And we should be, if we make changes, it will be made at the beginning of the fiscal year, July 1st. Because we have to chat with the other 2 boards and see what their opinion is. Because we can't just advertise in the paper for one board and we can't use one paper for one and another for another paper. And be mindful that the reminder advertises 1 day a week, it's Thursday, and your publication has to be 5 business days, not 5 calendar days. So if it comes out on Thursday, you have to be publicizing 2 weeks, not the 5 days, not that Thursday before your meeting, but the preceding Thursday. So when we look at our timeline and getting the application and the information in and then sent to the paper, we're working on a real tight deadline. And sometimes applicants don't have everything they need. So then they got bumped back. So agenda, we have our agenda, we have our deliverables, we have our schedule for the date that we need our items. But we're always gonna get somebody who's in there. Please, 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 I can't tell you, every meeting, there's always somebody on their hands and knees begging. So allow us to do our job so we can be efficient and we can get things noticed and follow the statute. So, and then discussion of the marked agenda policy, you had asked about that. That kind of goes hand in hand with the meeting minutes. because
And
we
we've been
did-
over that numerous times, we're all set. We know it's done for the public. I really don't think we need to discuss it anymore.
But it does serve as draft minutes because it gives you the item.
And we get it,
describes the
yeah, we've
item.
been over it.
So
But-
just do it if you want and end the story.
Yeah, done, move, let's go.
I'm just, you bring it up periodically. I'm trying to have some closure here.
We have closure. We
Okay.
understand it, just.
And I believe that's what I put
Do
in
it.
all three of my separate emails about these. We're fine, do it as you wish.
But Craig,
And
you
don't.
have to understand, this is, okay, so this is a concern that I have. You have these emails and you're having a discussion and they're not in an open meeting, and you can't do that. You have to have this dialogue in open meeting so that the people know what is being discussed.
I know,
We-
and
we
we've
have
discussed
discussed
about
it
all three of these
at least
things countless
4 or 5
times.
times.
You
And
brought
we're
up beating the dead horse.
But you
There-
keep
I haven't
bringing
heard a
it up.
thing new tonight.
But you keep bringing up, well, last week, it was the 21-day, or 2 weeks ago, the 21-day calculation.
Yep.
Day one begins the day after. You berated us for having 22 days between the date of submittal and the date of the public hearing or the public meeting. It was 21 days. You don't count the day that the application comes into the office as day one.
Okay?
That's 0.
Mhm.
And we went back and forth to find this answer with accuracy. I spent a lot of time getting this information. So now we know, okay, day one, it's out there, the people know, you know what, they know what was discussed via email, and you've complied with the open meeting law. And I'm done.
Okay?
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for the opportunity.
Policies and procedures. There was discussion of the draft conservation annual report that's due on 3/16. I'll have that for the commission at our meeting on the 11th, I believe it is.
So you have to give that to us because I'm submitting them together, all together, so she doesn't get straggled. So I have 3 departments as well as my report. So please email it to me and then I will get the whole packet to Mary.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Review of the Conservation Commission accounts. I did send Sarah an email, and she pretty much sent me the ones that we have. There's nothing really showing up, but it's good to get these every month. I did put that in an email to her. I'd like to see them on a monthly basis, so over time, we can actually see how the money is moving around. The other one that was on here that I should have asked for this to be taken off was approval of the Conservation Commission policy for procedure of acquiring land. I didn't have a lot to actually change on it, other than in the 3rd paragraph, where if it contains or protects one or more of the following rare or endangered species, wildlife habitat, public water storage, or prevention of flooding. One of the ones I thought we could add in there would be potential for recreational use, such as hiking, bird watching, etc. And then one of the other ones that says, to avoid putting undue burdens upon the town, land to be accepted must meet all of the following criteria. And one of them I kind of don't like, but this is still preliminary, and I don't believe we are going to approve anything tonight. The last one there that says, have low current and potential tax valuation due to its unsuitability for other economic use, unless acquisition is necessary to protect or provide access to one of the key conservation resource areas in town. I was almost thinking we could delete that.
I'm on the opposite opinion.
Figured you would be.
Yeah, I know, this has come up a million times.
Did anybody else have any other comments or anything on this?
Where, which is that?
I don't know, I don't have that paper.
I don't,
We got them at the
Yeah,
last
we got it
meeting,
at the
I
last
believe.
meeting.
oh, okay.
In our
so I
last-
have that.
Yeah.
And that's the one I emailed to everybody also.
I don't have that here.
But we can just continue it to the next meeting if everybody wants to. That's fine. It's, there is no urgency for it. So I guess if we can leave that on there,
Yeah,
and we'll bring it up again for the next meeting. Anybody else have anything under policies and procedures? No. The next item was the discussion of the acquisition of the land at Hamden Road. Which obviously is something that the town would need to purchase. And I guess sooner or later, we need to decide which way we wanna go. Is the commission interested in trying to acquire this land, possibly for, bird watching or whatever, and just letting the field grow over? There is that other thing that's in there also about an agricultural grant, which I'm unfamiliar with, or an agricultural resource area, which we should perhaps look into. And if we are, the next step for us, I guess, would be to see if we wanna spend some of our money to acquire it, and if we want to apply to CPC to see if they're willing to kick in some money.
yeah, I think, we need to have some more discussion. Wasn't Francis gonna check into the,
Yeah, she was supposed to check with the rec department also,
Yeah,
and look at grants, yeah,
so with her being out sick, we don't know what she found out, so.
okay.
I don't know, I could go right back to this sentence. Unless there are special circumstances, agricultural land should not be accepted as conservation land. And my personal opinion on that property is, if use CPC funds for it and turn it into fields, or, let it get developed and get on the tax rolls. Because it doesn't tie to any of our other properties. It's,
It doesn't directly, but it is near,
What's the
some
acreage?
that we have
What's the
and in
size-
Hamden.
What's the size of the lot?
Little over
it's
7
7
acres.
acres, it's
Yeah.
tiny, well, relatively speaking, so what are you gonna do, make a walking path that goes around and looks
No,
in people's
no.
backyards?
No.
That's,
nothing there. No.
there's nothing there.
No.
You
It
know,
doesn't tie to anything.
right, but across the street, there are, but
If
does
you
it
wanna try
directly?
and
No.
cross Hamden Road there and,
Yeah.
and go into a swamp,
I agree with you,
Hmm.
yep.
I have no interest in it myself.
I mean, it's a great piece of land, I think it'll be a great asset for the town for fields, but for conservation land, I don't see it, I think that it would be doing more harm than good.
Could you just clarify what you mean by fields? Do you mean playing fields? or-
Playing fields,
Okay.
playing fields.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's my opinion.
Oh, yeah,
Only
yeah.
mine, only mine.
And you know me, I'm of,
If I could offer others' opinions, I would gladly.
and you know me, I lean the other way a lot, that, as opposed to, I think it's better off for the town, as opposed to letting this 7 acres of land get developed and have 6 or 7 houses put in there with 2.2 kids. I know we're getting some more tax revenue from that, but it is also more burden on the police department, fire department, school system and all that. And so I don't know I don't believe that that's definitely a winning thing for the town, in the long run, but that's okay, differences of opinions are healthy.
No, I understand your argument.
Yeah, but I guess, so then right now is maybe we need to just see if the rec department is more interested in, and it's here because, the applicant, the homeowners came to us about it, because it would be their choice not to see 7 houses there. But, and again, also it's different because it is something we would have to purchase. They're not offering it as a donation at this point either, which, is another factor where a lot of this, really doesn't apply, because this was the donation form. So I guess I'll check with Frances and see if she's made any headway, with the rec department, but you talked to Donna still, don't you?
Yeah, I haven't talked to her about this because I didn't know.
On a financial end of things, too, realistically speaking, what do we have, $63,000 for land acquisition? And they're at $200,000, we're not even in the same ballpark.
Oh, got them, yeah,
So-
yeah.
And we have
It's
to
not
watch
even-
our spending on the CPC. Because we still have 2 outstanding bonds, and the rec department's going for that.
Yeah, we can't even speak to that,
Yeah.
I mean, only we
Yeah.
can speak to our own
I mean,
pocketbook.
200 grand is a lot.
The, one of those not on the agenda that, Lance spoke about, but, recently, but I know it's come back, but, could you just give us an update, Jeff, on the open space plan?
The open space plan was redone, I believe, it was resubmitted, and, I haven't heard anything from Donna as to what the state is.
So the second, it was resubmitted for the second time?
Right.
Okay,
There was about 9 items that they wanted updated, and one was basically, between Diane Bishop and myself, we did a spreadsheet on all the conservation-owned lands, and they had very specific things they wanted. So basically, had to put it out on a spreadsheet form to, the condition, who was, how it was acquired, what future plans for, or what the potential was for each parcel and so forth. And quite frankly, I didn't know there was as much as there was. There's a lot of little tiny half-acre, quarter-acre, three-quarter-acre things all over the place. A lot of.
It's all recorded back?
Huh?
It's all recorded back? What it was donated as and,
Yes, yes. A lot of little parcels were taken as tax lien, which I feel people let go because it's just little tiny patches of wetland.
what people do is they use the conservation clause as a dumping ground for paying taxes.
But there's a lot of these little lots over in Vineland and over in that area, which are, you got a 2-acre parcel over on Lowland Hamlet Street there, which is, there's no parking. I mean, Hamlet's a dead-end street, and you just got that little 2-acre parcel there, which is kind of like, kids have.
Why? Yeah.
Kids have done bike trails and, there's some paths in there, but, it's like, there's absolutely no parking there. Cause those streets are real narrow. Hamlet's you got a car parked on one side and you barely get down there. There's no, cul-de-sac at the end. You have to go into someone's driveway to turn around to get out of there. And,
I think
Gerard.
that's why this was created. I think that's why that land acquisition,
Yeah.
part of that was created.
Well, but I was amazed at how many of these small parcels were just taken by tax lien. And then a lot of our big conservation areas, they're out in the middle of a housing, there's no access to them. And plus, 3/4 of it is all wetland. Like at the end of, what's that, is it Tanglewood? Where,
Off Allen?
yeah, is that Tanglewood?
Yeah, down the end.
Yeah, down the end. Okay, there's a cul-de-sac there, and right at the end, there's a huge chunk, I forget how many acres is there, but right up to the cul-de-sac, it's just, the whole property is just all wetland.
It's a
There's nothing
swamp.
you can do with it, it's all swamp. I mean, yeah, you can park on the cul-de-sac, but what are you gonna do, walk in the swamp? But you have like Brown Farm and, a few other places which, is usable. And, I think one thing we should start thinking about doing, maybe in another meeting or so, is get some signs made up and
Exactly.
denote that these are parcels, so people will, if they're driving by, they'll see it, they'll know.
yeah, that's interesting, because, I know when we did the dedication, there was actually a sign for the Mary Swords Conservation
Yeah.
Area.
Yeah.
But unless you're driving down that dead-end street, you
Right.
don't know that.
Let's concentrate on the main ones where people have easy access to, and we can start with Brown property. Get a sign put up there.
Mary Swords, you
You
can
have to make like
access
5
it,
signs.
there's probably parking for about 6 cars down there. And there is a part of it that is, somebody could walk through there, but then there's a large chunk of that that's wetlands too.
You know, the trails are actually pretty good in there. I walk in there a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And I went in a bit, mainly because somebody had called up about a tree falling, and they wanted to know if it was, you know, okay to take it down, because it was, their property backed up to Mary Swords.
Now, the Eagle Scouts are doing that project with the benches on the Brown property, correct?
Right.
Maybe Saturday, if we got time, we can walk part of that. What? It's supposed to be a real nice day.
Sure.
I don't like that walk, correct?
Don't talk about anything.
What? No, if we're gonna do it, we got, you know, discuss it and then we'll do it. Is that Brown property named after somebody? Maybe we can name that trail or something, mark it right?
You know, that's some other things that,
Good idea.
you know, maybe we could do is mark some of these trails with signs.
Well, marking a trail, but the main entrance, so they know where they can pull and where the community garden is.
Yeah.
The Boy Scouts in the past have done some trail markings, you know,
Okay.
and some clearing of trails a little bit, and some other
I mean,
projects that they
seeing
do.
they're gonna be putting some benches in, I think it's great, we can go in there and just, you know, check it out and see what other areas
Yeah.
need it.
Do we have
Finish
Girl
that
Scout
one.
troops?
Hmm?
You know, the girl, do we have Girl Scout troops? The Girl Scouts.
Yes, there are several
Just
in
as
town.
active.
Yeah.
I mean, we always look at the Boy Scouts, but I think you'd be surprised at the number of girls that would be
Oh,
interested.
and they're
That'd
not
be great.
bankrupt.
No, the Boy Scouts are bankrupt.
Boy Scouts are
Girl
bankrupt.
Scouts are going
I
strong.
think it's an Eagle Scout that's actually doing it.
The Eagle Scouts is doing the bench, not the Boy
They usually do the
Scouts.
big projects
Yeah.
to get their,
To get that
Yeah.
Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
And not to, but what about, Margaret, right? Maybe a group from the school, the high school might be interested, because that land, I wouldn't even know how to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to walk through there.
It
Which
does
one?
go to the end of Porter, correct? Comes out
Which
on
was Mary
Porter?
Swords, that one?
No, Watchung Meadows
Uh-oh, here it goes.
and Brown Farm.
It comes out on Kibbe. I don't
Kibbe
know
Road.
that it comes, pops out to Porter.
It,
Maybe
it,
does.
it goes out to
I don't think
Parker.
it does. I think maybe you get in that neighborhood off Porter.
You can
just
park
gotta-
there though, that street
Well, it
that's
comes
off
up
Parker
but
Street,
but it's.
it's
you gotta go up
Fernwood
the
or
High
something,
Line.
but and it's
Oh,
a park.
Fernwood.
Fernwood, and that's a
Fernwood.
parking area similar to
Right.
the Mary Swords one,
There's nowhere to park.
3-4 cars maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's about all you can put there. But you can publicly park on the street there, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Granted, some of the homeowners might not be happy, but,
Well, that's the price you pay for having conservation land in your,
Exactly.
in your backyard, right?
yep, exactly.
Well, that's like Heritage Park up at the back end. You've got that access way from Gates Avenue, but the only place you can park is, you gotta park in somebody's front yard.
Yeah.
Because there's no parking there at all.
You know, you guys work a lot on enforcement and notice of intent, like the nuts and bolts, but wouldn't you really wanna do some fun stuff? And maybe you should think about what you might like to do. There's some chatter about projects within Watchung Meadows. We'll put it on the next agenda, for discussion.
Well, springtime's coming. One of the things I always thought we should do would go out at nighttime
Where's this
To
going?
look for vernal ponds?
and hang around in the swamp
Keepers?
and try and see if we can get some vernal pools certified. By finding the salamanders and stuff when they come out in the middle of the night.
Craig, you may fall off your chair when you hear this, but I used to do that with my son. My son was an entomologist. I thought I had I had salamanders, I had newts, I had snapping turtles, I had an iguana that I inherited through him because I wasn't his nice mom. And so I know sometimes you think maybe I'm too cityfied, but.
Never.
I hope they weren't endangered salamanders.
Oh, no. And one was, we had a newt and it
I
started
got
actually
some
growing
painted turtles I
tumors.
wanna plant. No.
And I had it in a smaller aquarium, you know, the little plastic. And I used to keep it on my counter and I would feed it every morning and it knew me, you know, so I like being outdoors and I enjoy preserving the land and take care of the land. And sometimes I think you and I have a disconnect, but I think you'd be surprised to know that I really I admire the Conservation Commission and all that you do. And I know that we have the opportunity here in East Long Meadow to do some great things with the land that we have. And you should just go with it. If you're going to the conference, talk to people, see what others are doing and bring it back. And go, just keep pushing it and it'll get done.
I think the signage, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No,
The
just-
signage piece is really nice for someone who just kind of moved back. Like, you guys are talking about all these cool places, and I gotta figure out how to find them.
Yeah, like
'Cause I love to hike and, yeah, so,
So maybe you could even do like Saturday morning hikes with the
Yeah.
Conservation Commission, and you'd be surprised, because if you have a meetup group, the meetup groups and such, and people just don't know, they don't know how to get to that information, and Bethany's updated the
Maybe one of the
website.
next steps, a brochure. The large parcels that we have, make it public. They can pick them up at the town hall or the planning board.
The library.
Library's
Library's always a really
be
good
great.
place to
Well,
pick things up.
There was one
Starting-
years ago, but
Yeah.
it was a lot smaller. But some of it is still tricky, even that Fernwood, you're pretty much walking into the swamp.
Yeah.
There's not really a trail right there
We
that's
wanna do
very
it now.
good. There isn't.
bring my book.
But I do go in there. That's a pretty cool place to
Bring your
go.
galoshes.
Oh, adjourn your meeting.
Um,
We're all gonna get up and walk
yeah.
away.
Is there anything else for the commission? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.